Who the Wild Things Are with Ryan McGuire.
You gotta listen to your body.
Oh my God, maybe, I could get out there, I could do this.
Let's take a ride, find your wild side, real stories, see with your own eyes.
It's so beautiful.
I'm gonna have the best time out here.
I was in tears. I was like, that's the best, man.
Roland, how we doing, my man?
How we looking?
You look great, man. You look good.
Tell me something I don't know.
My man. It looks like we're good to go, Roland. Thank you so much for joining. We've been trying to get this set up for a while, and it's really great to finally have you on here, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Last time we spoke, you told me you're back home visiting with the fam. Everyone, I think, for the most part, knows who you are, the winner of Alone Season 7, which in itself is a great title. But I want to explain to people kind of Roland before the TV as well, and kind of where you came from and how you became the woodsy guy that you are. So let's talk starting, teenage Roland and Shiloh and how you became the dude that was the Alaskan hunter.
Yeah, it's a pretty lengthy story. I'll do the best I can without getting too long. Central Pennsylvania, Clearfield County is in the middle of the Appalachia Hills. For the east, it's pretty damn rural.
Yeah.
And I come from a long line of loggers and coal miners from my mother and father's side of the family each. We're real down home. So that sort of explains that. I had a double dose of it, and it just led me to the woods from like, I can vividly remember 8 years old. I started setting my first traps at 8. Well, then too, my uncle, my dad's father, he bought fur. He was a licensed fur buyer in the 80s fur boom. And so I was goofy for this stuff. He's buying all this fur on the carcass, and coon and fox mainly. And they were worth money in the 80s. And then he was buying possum because they were worth $1, and everybody to buy their coon and their fox, they'd dump a dozen damn possums on you too. So there's a pile of possum in the fur shed all the time. It was never going to get skunked. At 8 years old, you don't know what you're doing, but he could just turn me loose on that junk fur. And I began skinning. I fell in love with the knife. I mean, I loved to process animals and sharpen my knife and buy knives and look at knives. When I was young, just hold knives and throw knives and everything you could do with a knife. Got into school. Of course, in the middle school and high school, I picked up the love of reading. I got that from my father. He didn't teach me how to read. He taught me the love of a good novel. And of course, he read Louis L'Amour and that type of stuff. So my father, I can remember vividly him buying a copy of The Big Sky. He really didn't know what he was picking up. It was the 80s Bantam run, and that's A.B. Guthrie Jr., American Literature, a famous story. Everybody should read that, and everybody in this community. And so I read it then after him, of course, and that really grabbed me. So now, I'm thinking mountain men and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Get out of high school, go to the Army, have a couple bouts with the cops, go to jail a few times. A couple bad marriages under my belt, and I'm needing to make a change in my life. Still woods crazy and all that, but I'm thinking so the old man, he always talked about going to Alaska. Him and his brother I was born in the 70s, and they were still doing some of the last homesteading in Alaska in the 70s. So him and his brother would talk about it, but it never come to fruit. They couldn't never get the women on board. And so I always wanted to go. I used to plead with Mother to go, but she would never go. And so I picked up the Alaska dream when I was coming out of that dark party kind of era. And I just loaded up my truck and drove to Bellingham, Washington, got on the Alaska State Ferry system up through the Inside Passage, jumped out at Haines where you drive back into Canada, pop out up at Delta Junction, and bang, you're in Fairbanks. About 2 weeks later and $1,000 worth of gas. This is in the early 90s. And I had my truck all ready. I mean, I had a cap on, a great big camper, and it was only a three-cylinder Ford, two-wheel drive. It was like 20 years old. It was an 81. It was 15 years old. And it was just grossly overloaded. I had the springs built up and everything. I had all my traps, all my rifles, all my tools, bunch of damn grubs, snowshoes, tents. I could have broke down anywhere and lived 2 or 3 months in style. Finally get to Fairbanks, and it's still, or no, then I drove to Prudhoe Bay. I was driving the haul road clear to Prudhoe Bay. That was kind of my goal, because they had just opened it the year before. It used to be they shut everybody off at Coldfoot, and I knew that. But now they opened it clear to the Arctic Ocean. I thought, I'm going to drive to the Arctic Ocean. Well, I got up past, I hit the Arctic Circle, and man, it's still winter up there in May. So I turned around. I mean, big time winter. I was having trouble. Spent the night at the Arctic Circle in May, though. Wasn't a soul there. And went back to the Yukon River Bridge truck crossing. And they were putting a man on for the summer, and I got that job. I picked it up, moved into their little hotel, started fixing truck tires on the haul road. That was pretty wild. And then got in with the Indians on the Yukon River. You talk about a trip, dude. Them guys are having fun. And then eventually, when the road cleared up, I did make my way to Prudhoe Bay and seen the oil fields, dipped my toe in the Arctic Ocean, went back to my job. But all this time I had a job with a man in Palmer, which is clear down by Anchorage, and he operated in Western Alaska. And he had a big year coming up. He hired 3 packers, me and 2 other men in their 20s, to go in and help him pack moose meat and caribou and everything out for all of September and half of August too. So he shoved us all on a 206 and shot us out to Western Alaska and pitched us out on this runway, just me and another packer. His name was Travis Grimm. And we set up camp. He come in a week later for another airplane load and more grub, more hunters. And, you know, there's moose coming through camp. There's so much game out there. You see grizzly bears up on the mountainside. So I packed there all fall. And I'm thinking, I'm liking this. I'm going to stay. And there was a gold miner there next door. And he wanted somebody to operate. And we're nowhere. We're out in Western Alaska on a damn dirt strip. The outfitter packed it up for the year and went back to Palmer. I stayed out there with the gold miner. And we mined gold till we got froze out. And then he had a buddy come in and grab us, loaded up the dogs and the pumps and everything, and flew me to Red Devil, which is where I still reside. And that's on the Kuskokwim River, which is a big, giant river, second biggest in the state, that you never heard of it. And the ice was running, and the snow was starting to come, and it's, 0, 10 below at night. And I outfitted for my first trap line. I went martin trapping. Dick Wilmarth dropped me off the first Iditarod champ. In 1973, this guy lives in Red Devil. He just passed a couple years ago now, but I ran with him hard for a long time, learned a lot off of him. A lot of my bushcraft come from Dick Wilmarth. And he dumped me at my first trap line. 2 months I was out there. This is pre-sat phone, no radio. I didn't take radio. Picked me up the good weather the week of Christmas, and you're just ready to be picked up. And Dick come and got me, and I could go on and on and on and on and on. Grizzly bears, moose, wolves, and wolverines, bad weather. Life in the bush is fun.
It seems like especially for the season you were on, like your experience uniquely prepared you, right? There's plenty of people who have been in the cold or who have lived outside, but in terms of Alone Season 7 in the Arctic and being out there to stay, that was kind of the home that you knew. It wasn't really a shock to the system.
Exactly. I have that edge. I lived in the bush, ultra bush. I mean, we're talking wall 10 in the wintertime, 50 below, trapping martin for the winter, gold mining all summer in the bugs and the isolation. Yeah, I done it all. I lived it way before Alone. But Alone was the ultimate test, everything I learned. Experience is worth a lot, and I had all of that experience. But when you get dropped with nothing to eat, right there's the deciding factor. All the expeditions I ever done, there was many a time I had an expedition go bad and didn't have enough grub, or it went into overtime and I ran out of grub. I ate some sled dogs once. I've gutted the peanut butter jar and licked it out, ate a bunch of nasty martin and red fox trap and things like that. Surviving from beaver to beaver through the ice for a number of weeks. But that was at the end of an expedition. And so that's a little different than getting dropped with 100 whole days in front of you.
Absolutely.
It was a
Totally
challenge,
different.
man. It was crazy.
Yeah, that's a totally different ball game there. It's kind of two different mindsets.
When you got no food, you've heard people say it. Everybody has, in people like us. People say, oh, when things get bad, I'll go live off the land. They don't have a fucking clue what they're talking about, man. Just don't, because it's hard. If it's hard for me, it's hard for everybody.
Yeah, it's no joke. Yeah, that you do hear that old adage, I'm gonna go live off the land, like as if that's the easier way of life. But the reality is there's a reason people don't live that way anymore. It takes a lot of hard work, man.
I got a thing I say that sums it up really good. The dream is better than the reality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you got to be goofy for it, like me, to get anything out of it. It's just torture to normal people.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of those experiences where you have to be 100% bought in, or you're going to have that fear, anxiety creep into your head, and it's going to make you tap out. And you see it every season. That starts to creep in. I didn't really see it much with you. So let's take that. We've got Alaska man, Roland, the man that has survived all these crazy experiences. Let's move into how you got interested in Alone. You're obviously not a guy who thought from a young age, I'm going to be a TV personality. How did you get interested in Alone, and how did the process of getting selected and the boot camp, how did that pre-Alone process work?
Yeah, it was kind of unique in my situation, but I've done everything different than everybody my whole life. What works for me and never worked for anybody else. So I'm doing all this guiding in Alaska, registered big game guide. I got big hot shit clients from all over the country come to kill shit with me. It's a good gig. I like it. So I'm living pretty remote. I don't got nothing against TV. Actually, I love it and turn it on every chance I get, but I don't always have a chance. A lot of times I'll do months without a TV. And when I do get on TV, get on my TV or somebody's TV, I don't know what I'm looking for. I'm just, it ain't like I had nothing picked out. So they show up. My clients showed up 7 years ago telling me about the show. History Channel has this really amazing show. I knew the name of it. They told me the name, and they all said, you should go do that, and I said, yeah, I should go do that. But I knowed it would take somebody with computer to get me in there. And I told them all the same thing. Get me in there and I'll do it. I'll win, and I'll even cut you in for some dough. Oh yeah, we'll do that. Well, everybody says shit like that. Nobody did it. And finally, my sister, Megan Francis, she had a little bit of time on the end of a vacation, and I had a cell phone at the time. I was out on a hunt in the lower 48, and she took the time. She had me on the phone. I had a flip phone. I did Alone on a flip phone. I got in on a flip phone, but I had to have her on the other end with computer. You couldn't have got in with just a flip phone, period. But anyway, she's asking me, she's filling out my application and talking to me, and we got it done, sent it in. And then I went back out to Red Devil. I'm remote again. I mean, remote. You'd have to see Red Devil to understand. And I'm trapping. Never heard nothing. And then boom, they hit her. They, kind of interested. I forget what the first email said. And they wanted to see some video work. You got to send them something. They can't just go off of paper, your application. I sent in some. Well, I didn't have a camera. I didn't have a video camera that was any good at Red Devil. But I remember when I used to have a shitload. You remember when they took the little cassettes, the little VHS cassettes? So I had a couple of those.
The little mini ones.
Yep. The little ones, little palm cameras with cassette. Well, when they first came out, I bought 2 of them, and I drowned one and I burned up another. But I had a whole year of my life on them things. But they were dead. But right after that is when they switched to S&D cards. And there was a company called Jazz, and everybody laughs when I talk about the Jazz camera. Jazz. I shit you not, it was like $21 at Big Lots, I think was the store. And I picked it up, and it took the S&D card, shot terrible footage. And then I did a bunch of stuff with it early. And then it just got lost in a gear bag. I got a mountain of gear everywhere I go after every expedition. Sometimes I clean a bag out. Sometimes I just throw it on the pile.
Oh, I'm the same way.
I know, yeah. It's just ready for the next one, maybe. I know that jazz camera was somewhere in the heap. And I started going through my cabin at Red Devil, come up with the jazz camera. And lo and behold, it had a good card in it,
There you go.
So then I took off and, shot a bunch of camping out, minimal gear thing. You got to show them something. And then I got it off sent it to New York, and man, they liked it. And we started talking. And so then you got to start doing, conference calls and things when you're getting a little closer. I can't do that from Red Devil.
Yeah.
But it just so happens I was headed to Anchorage for spring bear hunts because that's where my pilot is. And poof, I'm in Anchorage where I could do some, conference calls and things. And I just jumped on and did my thing. They went for it, and there I went.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's a cool story. It's funny how you balance the technology aspect with your regular lifestyle.
It's ironic. I've always went, man, I'll go remote for forever. I'll be in there 6 months. I went in for 3 years one time. And I can always seem to come out. The first time you come out when you're starting to drive again, it's a little weird, and all the people, but you just bail in and go. Like
there's always little things when you come out of the bush. The one for me is if like wild camping, and then you come back, you've had no artificial light, and you turn on a light switch. You know what I mean? Like when you
it's so easy just to click the lights on.
Dude, the lights thing is the craziest one for me every time because
magic.
It's 8:30, it's dark, and you can't see no matter what. There is no light, there is no nothing. And then you come home, and it's the middle of the night, and you just flip it up.
I know. It's
weird.
It's nice being out there in the natural light. But I am hooked on my LED. The headlamp has turned us all into Supermen in the woods.
Dude,
they're awesome. When I first went out in the bush, we had headlamps, but they were incandescent still, inefficient, sucked up a lot of battery, bad light. And, and then the cold factor too, that zaps your batteries. Now an LED, boy, oh boy, with a couple changes of batteries back and forth.
Yeah.
You can really, I do a lot at night with my LED.
Yeah, you can run it for a month. They're nice. And they're super lightweight now. You remember the old ones that were big and clunky? Now they're like this big.
Yeah. The technology's screwing our lives up, but the LED's a good deal.
Yeah, there's a couple. There's 2 or 3, things that are really, really making outdoors fun. There's some that kind of prohibit the real experience, but there's a lot of them that you embrace if you're out there for a while.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting thing about Alone is it's not totally primitive. You get 10 items. The way Donnie in episode 1 of my show, he explained it was you get 10 problems solved for you. And I think that's an interesting way of thinking about it is you get 10 items from the jump. So when you were thinking about your 10 items, what came to your mind? Did you do anything that was really different than everybody else? Or did you kind of follow the gear selection that most people had done in the past?
I did have a method to picking that gear, and I don't know how deep I want to go into that because there's the championships on the horizon, perhaps.
Okay.
We don't know that, but I will say there's like 5 items you have to have. There's 5 items everybody is always going to pick. You got to have axe. Everybody knows axe is number 1. That ain't no secret. And then you got to have fire. I will say that Nathan in season 6, I think it was, that went with, no, man, that was a ballsy move, dude.
Hey, you did all right, though.
Oh, hell yeah, he made it a long time, but I bet he got tired of cranking that fireboard.
I watched that episode, and I thought there's no way this guy persists with this. And I'm a friction fire guy. I love bow drill, love hand drill. But if given the chance, ferro rod it's an ace in the hole.
Ferro rods are awesome.
Yeah, it's an ace in the hole. I don't understand.
Well, he just wanted to pick up an extra item, since he didn't need to take ferro rod. That give him an extra item, so to speak. And I get the logic, but holy cow, that was ballsy, man.
The calories from bow drilling is my thing.
Yeah, probably just the calories, but man, just the time it takes, and friction fire is almost a miracle every time to me. And I make them too, but I mean, they're not easy. Everybody knows that.
No, they're not.
Every one you pull off's like, wow, did it again. My list was axe, fire, sleeping bag. You got to have bedding. You ain't going out there.
That's one.
Bedding. Yeah, you got to have bedding. Then you're down to knife or Leatherman. You're gonna have one or the other. There's 4. 2-cart cook pot. You got to have a pot. First 5 items. Everybody's gonna be the same. Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah, pot or pan, something to cook with. Yeah, those are basic 5. After that, it's kind of.
After that, it's all hunting and fishing items.
That's right. How can you procure food?
Well, I know I wanted bow, because you ain't going to get big game without bow.
Bow's the most obvious choice for me personally.
Yeah.
And
You
fishing
gotta
line
have
is number 2. I think that's here. Let's move into alone a little bit. So in the beginning, I thought your strategy. I've seen some other people do it where it's more focused on big game, less focused, at least from what we saw on the show, on fishing and trapping. How much did you hunt before you got the first musk ox? Were you intentionally hunting hours every day, or were you just kind of walking into animals with a bow in hand?
Yeah, I just, I'm always on the hunt no matter what I'm doing, so to speak. Mainly I was building rock house.
Right.
There's it, everybody knows that there's a 3-part formula to survival, shelter, and that includes fire, I guess, water, and then's food. Food's last. Shelter's always first.
Mm-hmm.
I was putting all my energy in rock house, and everything else was just a blessing from God.
So did you go in and say, I'm going to build a rock walled structure? Because what you see from almost every contestant throughout Alone history is pitched roof, usually some kind of double lean-to or using natural debris shelters. But you came in right away and went rock wall. Was that from the jump? You're like, I've been to Alaska. I know that rock is going to retain the heat better. Or did it just fall in your hands that you found a good cove?
Well, I kind of had rock picked. I know you never seen so much stone as Great Slave Lake. I mean, all that rock. And at first I'm like, I don't know if I'm real wild about all this damn rock. And I thought I got to figure out some way to use this rock to my advantage.
Yeah.
And I just thought I'd give rock a shot. And I happened to get into a spot there where it was readily available in some sizes that I needed. And I just started putting up rock house. And I got the rock walls up to where I could, lift the rocks up on without too much trouble. And then you see I topped off with log after that.
Yeah.
He's going to need log for roof anyway.
So this is one question I thought about when I was watching. So usually you see the pitch roof, which kind of sheds precipitation and debris down to the sides so you don't, have a bunch of leakage and sitting water on top. Was your roof angled, or was it actually as flat as it looks?
It's pretty damn flat.
Flat.
There's a little bit of angle there, but mostly flat. Mostly flat. I did have a little bit of drainage problem.
Yeah. Oh, you did? Okay. So that's what I was curious about, was if you have that sitting water, or let's call it snow, sun comes out, stuff starts melting or heating up, or your fire heat goes up. Did you have residual moisture coming down through that roof?
I don't know if it was coming through or if it was just collecting on one end and coming through at that end, or then you have your natural precip in any dwelling on the roof,
Right.
And it always beads up there and drips later. That any rough shelter is going to have some kind of precipitation issues.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Cool, man. So let me okay, so we talked about the beginning. Rock house is up. We've got the shelter built. Now it's hunting time. The muskox is prevalent throughout the tundra. Obviously, you know that, and everyone else got to see that you killed a muskox. For those that don't watch Alone or maybe aren't as familiar, it's sort of tundra cattle, if you will. It's a giant cow, deer looking thing, and they graze on grass. And you ended up finding some, shooting it with a bow, and then finishing it off by hand by stabbing it with a knife. So, I mean, just the story to me is insane. And the fact that it's on camera, I mean, that's got to be one of the most insane kills of your life. That is just is a bizarre situation. What was that like?
It was out of this world, man. Yeah, I can't even describe it, and I'll go through it real quick. I get real excited and worked up every time I talk about it because I know it ain't going to be duplicated. I mean, the whole time it's going down, I'm like, holy shit, I can't even believe this is happening. You know, now I did make the stab happen. I had to work myself up to do that. But I mean, just getting it done the whole time I'm doing it. So I had my arrows. I had one shot into it, and I had another arrow that I broke. And I was only carrying 2 arrows.
That's crazy.
Maybe that
you had
wasn't
arrow.
the right thing to do, you know. But that's what I carried around that day. I had 2 arrows go quick. So I finally trailed it to where it's bedded, and I'm real close to it, and it's breathing, and it's just sitting there. And I've been around wounded animals, you know, he's going to die, but you don't know when or where. And I'm thinking to myself, I have to stay here with this thing, and it's getting late already, and camp out with it all night with no gear, no anything. Or I got to walk back to Rock House and come back in the morning, and then he ain't there, you know. Man, I know I ain't doing that. I ain't doing that. I ain't too wild about sleeping out. I'm thinking, man, I sleep out all night. That's going to be one miserable son of a bitch. And he still might get up and wandering off to chase him in the night. I had no arrows, empty bow. I get my belt knife out. That was one of my 10. This is a reproduction of that knife. This ain't the original. I won't carry the original again until the championships. But I got a knife smith, a blade guy in Oklahoma putting these together for me. And I'm actually going to sell these if somebody wants one. I got my insignia on them. I don't know if it's showing up in the camera.
There you go. If you need a muskox knife, hit up my man Roland Welker. Get you right.
I call that the muskox Skinner. You can get them off my website. Send me some money. I'll throw it in a box. Anyway, this is my duplicate of that. So I'm sitting there with that muskox, and I thought, now I have stabbed a couple critters in the past that's been wounded. So it wasn't my first stab, but it was definitely my most important and scariest one because you're totally alone so far away, and there's all that money on the line. And I thought, I'm going to go in there and stab that thing. So I'm thinking, am I going to go like this? Am I going to go like this? Am I going in like this, you know? And thinking about all that, it's right there. And so I get the cameras up and get the GoPro on and turn them on, and we're ready to roll. Now, the chase was so fast that, you know, you see I picked up some camera of the chase.
It was good.
Yeah, it turned out decent.
Good.
The chase turned out pretty good. But a lot of the chase I missed just because it was too fast. So thank God I had the cameras in the right place and enough battery life left to get the stab. And then I went in for the stab. I moved in within 2 jumps of that thing. And then it's facing away at first. And I got my escape route picked. You don't want to just jump in, you know. People think you jump on his back and do crazy stuff like Tarzan movie, you know. You don't do that. Right, you hit and run. And which is what you got to do, and which is what I did. So after I hit and went, you know, there's blowdown everywhere. I'm crashing. You can see I'm crashing through the blowdown and going down. Then I jump up, and he already came around and tried to hook me. You know, I knowed just because he's all wounded and weak acting, I knowed once you hit him with that knife, he would just come up out of there like nothing. And he did. And then I stabbed him again and finally got him on his side and went in with some follow-ups. And then I just laughed like a mad idiot. I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. I named it the $1 Million Muskox right then and there.
What a story, dude. That is insane. You're going to be telling your great-great-grandkids. You're going to have a gray beard. You're going to be sitting by a fire. And you're going to be like, Sonny, guess what your grandpa did? You're going to be telling them about some crazy story. And it almost sounds unbelievable, man. It's like when people see it and you realize that it's self-filmed, right? There wasn't anybody there to capture it. It was you setting down the camera, you getting your mind right, and going to finish off a beautiful animal. And I think you did so in a respectful way, right? Like trying to finish up the process as quickly as possible. And a mind-blowing experience.
Yeah, always want to get the kill done as quick as you can. Sometimes it drags out, but you're always striving to get it done for the animal's sake. Absolutely. Yeah, I know it is hard to believe, but it is on film, so it happened. Yep. Thank God the cameras were in the right place. No doubt. See, so that whole thing with Rock House and the musk ox, I don't think they're gonna top season 7, dude. I don't think it's gonna happen. I'm pretty I think season 7's gonna be around a long time.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think, you and I talked about this the other day. I'm personally a huge season 7 fan. So for everybody in the chat, give me a thumbs up for the people that like season 7. But we're actually, the next 3 weeks, we're going to have 2 of your favorite friends from season 7 on the show. I'm not going to reveal them yet, but the next 3 weeks, including yours, is going to be all season 7 alone participants. And I think they brought extreme talent to the table. It was like this season, I felt like top to bottom, I mean, obviously yourself, but I felt like there was a lot of talent this year, people that really had the mind perspective to last a long time, and they also had the know-how and the expertise. What was it like getting to meet those other folks?
It was really cool. It was really cool and a pleasure and an honor. Even though I'm a tough player and don't cut nobody no slack, that was the best lineup they ever put together. All great humans, lots of talent there, you bet. Yes, sir. Yeah, tough competition all the way around.
Yeah, some tough chicks too, dude. Tough chicks.
Yeah. Callie and Kaylin's tough old gals.
Chicks.
Man. I could never say they're not. No doubt. If good thing I was there, we'd have a woman champ.
It was close. They both, on any given day, those are 2 girls that they've done a ton in their life, but they really showed a lot of character and persistence throughout that season. So I thought it was an awesome cast from top to bottom. Really did.
Absolutely was. You betcha.
Let's talk about, so I always like to talk about hierarchy of needs. It's like you said, first when I'm in the bush, first thing I think about if I'm staying somewhere is shelter. Then I get my shelter and instantly I'm worried about water. I'm like, where's the water? Then I get the water. Then I'm worried about food. Now I've got food. You've got food. Musk ox. You've got your food at least temporarily taken care of. You need to procure more fat at some point, but you've got your necessities done. What other things started to creep into your mind, and what kept you going? What were you missing people? Was there a psychological game you played, or did you feel like you were so mentally ready for this that the psychological thing didn't hit you as hard?
The psychological stuff really don't mess with me, man. I'm used to being alone, been alone my whole life. I said it there at the end a little bit, even when I'm with a crowd or something, I'm just always the odd man out. I don't play with teams real good. I was never a team player. I've always done everything alone, everything. The alone, I would have liked to had a couple books to read. I'd like to had my Bible along. If I'd have had that, man, I'd have been, good to go. Don't get me wrong. I was ready to come out after 100 days, but I was, I really wasn't stressing it. I was ready to come out, but I could have stayed too. The musk ox, it was getting a little old. I had more food than anybody in alone history.
Right.
But, and I even brought food out with me.
I saw that. That was awesome.
I did. I took, I know they put you on that minimal feeding program. They bring you back slow, and I guess that's the gig. But I ain't normal. You don't have to do that shit with me, but they did. So I know they'd be doing that. So I just brought some Rock House food out with me, and they couldn't stop me from eating it, give me my soup or whatever. And I'd still be eating dry fish and jerky and berries. But I was getting tired of Rock House food, man. We don't know how good we got it. One in Alaska one time, I was out of food, but I had lots of moose meat, and it was a good moose. It was a damn good moose, tender, lots of it. And I went 3 weeks on nothing but moose meat once. So I wasn't hungry, but and this was good meat. It wasn't, I mean, it was way better than this muskox. But even good meat, eat it twice a day, every day for 3 weeks. See how your jaws feel. You know, a biscuit's like a piece of candy after that. You know, we got a lot of comfort food available to us, and even our poor are fat these days. You know, people really don't know what it's like out there. You've read the old books maybe by novelists. The mountain men would live in the mountains so long they would shun anything but except wild meat and water, and they wouldn't eat bread. That's bullshit. They bummed every biscuit they could get off every wagon train that come by. You know, you get hungry for that stuff out there.
Yeah, it completely changed a lot of the indigenous cultures when they made pig roast.
They became hooked on flour.
That's the way it usually works. Is enriched flour. Enriched flour usually is the changing and the end of indigenous ways, because it's not because of anything conscious. Most of it's subconscious, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's your body craving things that you aren't craving. You know, you're not thinking to yourself, I want bread. Your body, like, I feel it all the time. Like, your body is just like, bread. And when I'm out, I don't know about you, but my thing is always cheese pizza or like cheesy garlic bread. That's always the first thing that comes to my mind, is that fat, cheesy garlic bread. I don't know why.
Right, it's your body. I equate it to the pregnant women that get them weird cravings. They get these combinations of food they want that you couldn't make up ever. You know what I mean? That's just their body making them hungry for that same thing.
Yeah, it's not like I'm trying to think about it. It's like coming from inside or like somewhere else. You know, it's totally subconscious. It's a weird deal. You've got a muskox. You've got everything going your way for the most part. You're doing well. It's day 60 or 70. Is there anything outside of the money that kept you going?
Yes, there was. Even more than the money. I wanted that title. I wanted that 100-day title. I mean, as crazy as I was for this lifestyle, and then, you know, when I was a little kid doing this shit, and as a young man doing it, and when I moved to Alaska, you know, there's a lot of people thinking, what the hell are you doing? You know, some of them even had the balls to tell me I was fucking up, you know. And so I took it long enough or hard enough. Now here I am at the top of the heap. And, you know, I wanted the title every bit as much as the money. I wanted that 100-day title. It's
about the respect at that point, right? It's being able to bring home that respect and hang your name on it.
Absolutely. I wanted that respect. And then at the same time, you know, and the show portrayed this really well. Production did this really well. You know, I mentioned my mother all the time because she had just, thank you, brother. She had just went as I was prepping for a loan, and I went to Montana to prep because for several reasons. You know, I like Montana for a bunch of reasons, but it's a good place to outfit, you know, because it's semi-wilderness. There's a lot of good stores there. So I was getting my gear together in Montana and shooting my bow and all that, just getting ready to go, real involved. And then she dies, of course, and so I skipped the funeral. I didn't come back to Pensy for her funeral and just left my sister and my dad deal with it. I felt I was justified with the position I was in. Maybe I was, maybe I wasn't, but I can be a selfish bastard. I stayed focused on what I was doing, so I thought I'm going to win this sucker and dedicate it to my mother, and thank God I did. Mona Welker's my mom, and I dedicated the show to her. So that was a, you know, pretty good driving force there toward the midway point in the end. Yes, mother was with me at Rock House and the Lord.
That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. I love that there may have been some feelings you had internally about having to miss, you know, the procession or what have you, but you made sure that you came and you delivered on what it was you were set out to do.
Right. I didn't skip her funeral in vain. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure she's looking down on you, and she's got to be a proud mom. How could she not be, right?
How could you not be?
Yeah, man, you crushed it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It all worked out, man. It all worked out. Boy, oh boy. But just, there's a lot of amazing things happened to me out there. It's going to be hard to beat. I can't wait to watch season 8 and see how close they come.
Yeah, it would be cool to see. They've got to throw some hooks in the show. We'll see what kind of. So, like for you, for people maybe that haven't watched all the Alone seasons, season 7 had a very distinct difference. The difference being that instead of it being last man standing, the goal was 100 days, which was longer than anybody had ever done in the Arctic on the show. It was a huge task in itself, but it was definitely a different format, right?
That was the goal, the $1 million challenge, the 100 days for $1 million. That was brand new. Now, another thing people might not notice about season 7, every year there's something a little different. The show always evolving, always kind of a new catch. On season 6, they focused really hard on people's weights and the medical checks. And on season 7, they still focused on the weights and the medical checks. Where they're always checking us and yanking us and whatever, but they didn't let us know our weight.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. So you've got to keep track of yourself, and they're having a discussion in privy where you don't know where you stand.
Exactly. It thrown a big spin on the whole thing. You really don't know where you're at, and and you don't even know what weight they're jerking you at. And on top of that, they know what weight they're going. They already got you figured out, and with your weight and what you was when you went in, and I don't know how all they do it, but they got their eye on you, and they kind of got the weight figured out where they were going to yank you. Plus, they take your vitals and stuff, but you don't even know what you weigh in season 7. No clue.
Interesting. So that's a big strategical piece. So for the people that haven't seen this, if you come, let's say we have 6 pounds of preserved fish, and I come in super close to being pooled, I'm going to eat more until those people come back and weigh me again. So
but you don't know this time.
In season 7, you have no idea. So you're guessing, where am I on that line of being too skinny? It's a huge strategical point.
Yeah. It even had me concerned. You was always kind of wondering, but I just stayed focused on Rock House and my work, and tell you the truth, I never took my shirt off until damn near the end. I didn't even know how I looked.
Dude, you looked shredded. I posted one picture on my Instagram. It was the first one to hype up this whole talk. And I found this picture of you from right after. You had some of that meat still with you, and you were just diced up, dude. Veins ripping out. I was like, man, this dude looks sick.
I was running the saw and the axe all day long, and leaned clear down. Holy shit, I was freaky looking, man. That was caveman look there, dude.
Yeah, dude, you looked like a caveman. One of my friends responded to that, and he said that looks like an old caveman right there.
I think that's probably how they looked.
That's right, though, man, because you didn't have all that comfort food. You were eating really lean muskox, probably some rose hips for your vitamins, and then a little bit of wild greens and fish. That's kind of the body you'll get.
That was it, dude. Some berries.
Yeah, some berries for a little bit of vitamins and nutrients.
Yeah, even though I ate better than anybody, and had a little bit of food to spare, you're still hungry. Back to that bread craving thing, dreams of cookies and milk just plaguing you at night,
And croissants.
Oh, yeah, with butter on it,
Just croissants.
You got nothing. You can eat another handful of berries. It's hell, man. It's not fun.
No, it's a tough thing, and I think until you've done a couple days of starving, or in your circumstances, months, you don't get to meet yourself, right? You don't understand yourself on that level.
Yeah.
Once you go out there, you start to understand yourself very deeply, and you're like, okay, this is what's going to happen to my body, but you were already prepared for what was going to happen.
I do got all my, I've put together some heavy wintertime trapping expeditions all my life, all self-funded, hired the pilot to take me out with all my shit and get dropped and come in with all my fur, trap all winter. I do. I have that experience. I felt that was an edge big time. And while we were being interviewed and they were picking who they were going to take, early on, the one of the questions we were asked was, what's your strong point? What's your skill set or whatever, and I couldn't really place a finger on any one thing because I'm sort of just, I don't know if I'm even good at anything, but I can do everything, if that makes any sense,
Yeah.
I'm not the best at nothing, but I can do, there's ain't nothing I can't do pretty damn good. And I just said my skill set is just all my years of experience, I think I'm the second oldest one to ever win, and I was damn sure the oldest one in season 7. I was 48 at the time, 49
Wait,
now.
You were the oldest contestant on season 7?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I'm the second oldest to win.
What are you, 40?
I'm 49 now. I went into
No.
Alone at 47. I turned 48 while I was in there, but I didn't celebrate it. I didn't even put it on the camera because it goes back to me and my mother. As I was growing up, and I went into this on the show a little bit about my birthday after the fact, that I don't celebrate my birthday, and even to this day, because my mother always wanted to celebrate it with me. And, I was growing up, I'd be 25, 28, 30 years old, and she's still trying to do this birthday shit to me. And you don't want that as a mature man. You don't want that no more, or at least normal men don't. I never let her celebrate my birthday. So therefore, I wasn't going to portray it on Alone. You know what I mean? Out of respect to her. Just because I'm on TV now, I shunned her birthdays all them years. What am I going to do? Put my birthday on TV now? So I elected just to suppress it. You can see I went in at 47, and then my date changes. Down at the bottom, Down at the bottom where they put your age.
Yeah.
But I didn't tell them to do that, and I didn't portray my birthday on the show out of respect to my mother.
I've kind of always been the same way. I had that, I don't know where the inflection point was, but my mom was always, she's probably watching this, my mom was always a big proponent of my birthday, and I was never really into it from a young age, 12, 13 maybe, never really into the birthday thing. I don't know what that was inside of me, but maybe it's fear of getting older. Maybe it's, I don't know, something inside me. I was never really a birthday kid either. I don't know where that comes from.
Well, for me, I matured early. At 13, man, I started getting pretty hard to deal with. I did some pretty wild shit from 13 on. So, everybody matures at a certain age. If you think you're a man, you don't want treated like a boy no more, and
Right.
Very few men mess with their birthdays. That's what it was for me. And I was given the best mother in the whole world, and it's just a shame you got to hit 49 years old before you understand all that, but that's just how it is. I didn't make it that way. It's how we are.
Yeah, but at least you had that point of inflection where it came really clear to you. I think that's one of the most beautiful parts about that season is, and again, this comes back to hierarchy of needs and the way our brain works, is once we get past food, water, and shelter, we start thinking about what matters. And you had a serious point where it wasn't only your mom. You talked about your mom, your dad, your sister. You talked about all those things.
Oh, yeah.
And how important your family was going to be moving forward.
Yeah, but you're right. When you're still on level 1, 2, and 3, there's no time for that.
Don't care.
And it's almost cool being on that level.
Yeah.
Because everything else just goes away. And you're concentrating on, that's what I like about my job guiding and hunting the big game guiding world. Once the clients start coming in and everything's in place, I don't do nothing except think about the hunt and what it's going to take to get them their animal and get them back out of the wilderness, and it's just, you're so focused on that. There's no time for politics, no time for drama. It's a good, clean place to be.
Yeah, it's a really cool spot to be in mentally. You and I, we got to figure something out after this. We got to figure out a spot for you and I to do some kind of bow hunt. We got to go out and get us some game.
Yeah.
I need some of that Roland, that expertise to rub off on me. I need just a pinch of it.
Pinch of me goes a long way.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I just need a pinch to rub off. All right.
Yeah,
so,
we can do a hunt. I'm into longbows now. What are you shooting?
yeah, I'm making a longbow at the moment. I got a blank from Corey Hawk.
Yeah, wow.
He's on season 7 with you. He gave me a blank Osage, so I'm making a longbow at the moment. It's gonna be an Osage flat bow hunter. So it'll be cool. Still tillering right now, but we'll see how it works out. It's a wonky piece with its own character, but it's gonna be cool.
It's fun to shoot black bears with them.
Yeah, that I'm into anything that has meat and fat.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a proponent of organ meat and eating animal from nose to tail.
Yeah,
so I think it's a lost art right now.
Mm-hmm.
People understand the nutrients that can be gathered from a single animal. But I've never eaten bear, so I've heard bear without worms is hard to beat.
I attribute a lot of that gut eating to my health.
Mm-hmm.
I eat a lot of wild meat and a lot of it rare, a lot of internals. You betcha. And I'm a healthy son of a gun. There's nothing wrong with bear meat.
Yeah, no, I've heard it's great. I mean, you got to watch a little bit from what I've heard for parasites, stuff like that. But honestly, I'm kind of a novice to the bear world.
Yeah, you can pretty much tell when you got a nasty one. You'll know when you're handling it.
All right. Well, you'll have to show me what's what then.
All right.
So, okay. So now we're done with the loan. We got our 100-day winner. You've reconnected. I love the scene where you and your sister are eating the bone marrow.
Oh yeah.
It's beautiful. You guys have wrapped it up. What is Roland's first thought leaving as the 100-day king?
My first thought was that my sister came in and did an awesome job. I was just floored with her performance. Mm-hmm. She came in with so much energy.
Yeah, I love that.
I was so proud of her. And after that, I was just I was really focused on God and Jesus Christ. God is Jesus Christ, both of them, and thanking him for giving me that victory. I mean, I don't think I could have done it without him, to tell you the truth. He was right in Rock House with me. There was some big prayer going on there. Absolutely. After that, I was just, I couldn't think of nothing except I did it. I fucking did it. It was amazing, dude. It was amazing. I was one happy camper. I mean, I never wavered, and I was never like thinking about tapping out or something. But I mean, when it finally got done and knocked off the last 100 days, and here come the chopper, it was like, oh my God, this is actually happening. I guess surreal's the name of that.
Surreal, total jubilation.
Yeah.
Absolutely excited. One thing that always strikes me about Rock House is the size. So like for me, when I'm staying overnight in a small shelter, I'm always excited to get out and get into something bigger. Small shelters, they're easier to build, they're easier to heat, they're easier to maintain. Was there any part of you that, first of all, how big was Rock House? And was there any part of you that felt cramped in there? Because you had to duck to get in that door.
Yeah, Rock House was like, I just about used my whole tarp on top, and them tarps were 10 by 16, 10 by 10? Maybe. Was them tarps 10 by 16? But Rock House had a shitload. You know, what I'd like to point out about Rock House is, now that, and then the tarp came down over the sides too. So I'll bet you Rock House was 8 foot wide by a good 12 foot long. Okay. But it looked longer than that because I was the first one to ever put a porch on his house. You see my overhang?
Yeah, it had a small overhang.
Yeah. And I wanted that overhang there for a bunch of different reasons. But it was extra work. It was extra work. The doorway was small, but actually when you got in Rock House, you could stand up if you were my height.
Oh, you could stand in there?
Yep.
Okay, so the dirt kind of came up towards the doorway then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, interesting. That yeah, you don't see that in the show. From the show,
Yeah.
it looks like it's only 4 foot tall all the way back.
Did you ever watch Doctor Who and the Tortoise?
No,
Or TARDIS?
I haven't seen it.
That phone booth he flies around space in. You don't know what I'm talking about?
Nope.
Well, it was bigger inside than outside because them space dudes had some kind of secret formula. Well, Rock House was almost like that. It was way big. It was way bigger inside than it looked.
Awesome. How tall are you?
I think I'm 5'8", maybe, or 5'7".
Okay, so most people could fit in there pretty comfortably.
Yeah, a normal sized person can. You had to duck to get in, but once you was in there, you could stand up. I like to put my pants on, like a human. I don't like to crawl around. I mean, I'll crawl around temporarily, but didn't want to crawl around for no 100 days.
That was kind of my thought with getting I got a truck cab camper now, the ones you can stand up in, versus the ones that you just put the cap on your camp or on the tailgate.
Yeah.
Is you can't stand up in there and put your pants on in the morning.
You can't do nothing.
It's like
you're crawling around like a critter,
Yeah. It's brutal, man. Being able to stand up would be a must for me.
Part of my plan from the beginning. I don't want to crawl around no 100 days.
All right, so you win the $1 million. You're flying out. You got sister under your arm. You guys are heading out. Where's your mind at in terms of what you're doing with that $1 million? And do you have plans? Are you going to make a Roland Welker hunting school, or what's next for Roland?
I can't think of nothing I even need, man. It's just kind of on standby, ready for me to grab if I need it.
Nice.
It's a nice feeling, though, to know you don't got to scramble no more. And I did buy some really cool binoculars, and, I bought a motorcycle and drove all over hell, but I'm probably going to, I'm working on taxes right now. You got to pay your damn taxes out of that.
Yeah, you can't mess that up.
Yeah, I mean, it ain't going to render. It's going to render down pretty quick.
Yeah, you got to take that one seriously for sure. There's people that have taken it lightly and it didn't work so well. But I like the idea of living the same life that you came in living.
Oh, absolutely. What do I need? All I need is a Bowie knife and a hunk of wire.
Yeah.
I don't need nothing.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. So now you're in PA with the family or somewhere in the Midwest. You guys are hanging out, enjoying each other's company.
Yeah, I just like to say I'm at large in North America.
There you go. Yeah, that's awesome.
At large in North America. I only need 3 states, and I've been in them all, and didn't just pass through. Done something in most of them. I started traveling at 17. I'm just pretty damn comfortable anywhere from northern Alaska to northern Mexico.
What was you said 3 states?
I need Maine, New Hampshire, and Florida.
Oh, those are the ones you haven't been to.
Right.
Okay. I thought you were saying those are the only 3 you want to be in. Okay. Maine, New Hampshire, Florida.
Yeah.
There's some interesting hunts in Florida. They've got weird stuff down there.
It'd be cool to go get some of them pythons everybody's fooling with.
Dude, down there, they're not like the snakes you see anywhere else. They're way different. They're different animals.
Giants.
Dude, like heads this big. It's insane. It's a whole zoo down there.
Well, I need to knock Florida off and then go up to Maine and New Hampshire, and I'll bend them all then.
They got some good hog hunts, I think, in Florida now. I think they got a lot of wild boar there. You ever do wild boar?
I like it when the dogs hold them and I stab them to death.
Well, that's your style, my man.
It is.
That seems to be a theme with you.
You might see some more stuff like that.
So what's next? You're going to do a couple more speaking tours. You're going to go talk to people about your experiences. What's next for Roland?
COVID has it all screwed up. I had some cool speaking gigs all lined up, and this is my big victory lap, and COVID just came in behind me, and it's been giving it to me ever since. I'm telling you, it just sucks. I fucking made it. I made it to the top of the heap, and then COVID comes along and casts this big dark cloud over the whole thing. Kind of unhappy about it.
Man, it is a plague that is that has disrupted a lot of people's lives. But I feel like at this point we've got to accept it for what it is, kind of make the best out of it. And I think that was something you and I talked about the other day was, trying to make the most out of it with stuff like what we're doing now.
I'm having a lot of fun with these podcasts. Yeah,
They're
I got my
temporary,
spring bear hunts coming up, and I always got something going on. Mainly, I'm kind of thinking about these championships that's being talked about.
Do you
we
want to
don't
talk
know.
about that?
We don't know about. Well, I don't know if they're going to do them or not.
Why don't you tell us your scoop? What's your prediction?
I think it's going to happen, but I don't know it's going to happen. I just know everybody wants to see it. Everybody you talk to goes on and on about season 7, and then they say they can't wait for the championships. And then everybody's pumping me about it. But I don't know. Once you're out, you're out. They don't tell me nothing no more. Like everybody asks me where they're at right now. Hell, I don't know where they're at.
What's your
here's my prediction on the championships, if they have them. I'm going to win the son of a bitch. That's my prediction.
How do you think they roll it out? You guys go to, is it a Arctic trade-off? You guys go to the Arctic and it's you versus the other 6 winners or 7 winners?
I don't know if they're going to wait another 2 or 3 years and have 10 winners. I don't know. I don't know how it'll go down. No clue.
You got to stay in shape then. You got to be ready.
Well, I'm pretty ready, dude.
Awesome, my man.
I stay in shape.
No, I believe it, my dude. You seem like you're always ready to go. You're sharpening a knife as we're having the conversation. So I got to get one of those knives from you, though, for sure. One of the musk ox knives.
I'll bring one on our hunt.
What are the other things you got behind you? Is that a...
Oh, I got all kinds of neat stuff. We're doing T-shirts. This is my favorite T-shirt.
Straight out of Rock House. I like that. Play on Straight Out of Compton. I like that.
I'm changing my middle name. It's going to be Roland Rockhouse Welker from now on.
Really?
I don't know.
Do it.
That's how I'm saying it. I didn't really change it yet. And this is my book. It's been out quite a while. We're adding an alone chapter to this.
Nice. Where can you get it?
You got to go to my website, www.rolandwelker.com.
Okay.
Same deal with the T-shirts. I don't know if the knife advertisement's out there yet or not, but this is mostly about big game hunting, but there's some of my history in there too. I mined gold for a while. Some cool gold mining stuff. Lots of color in this book. Lots of stories I wrote.
Oh, yeah. Bunch of big game.
Yeah. Double rams right here.
You've done so much in your time. It's awesome.
I've lived 3 lives. You could jam 3 normal men's lives, and that's if they were active, into my life.
That's awesome, my man.
It just is. I don't even know what the hell I know until you get me talking. You just got to get me telling stories. One will lead into another and into another.
Well, that's why I wanted to have you on here, because you have so much to tell. Your story's amazing. And honestly, Roland, it's been such a pleasure talking to you. I think you and I will definitely have more chats in the future. This has been a ton of fun for me. And I just want to say from me, you, sir, are absolutely wild.
Thank you. I'll take it. It was a 40-year career came together, and praise God I made it. I'm pretty happy with myself. Appreciate you, man. It's been a pleasure too. And get with me on that hunt, interview them other guys, and if it's all flowing really good, get back around to me. We'll do it again.
Yeah, let's do a checkup in the future, and we'll see what you're up to.
Awesome.
Awesome, man. Roland, thank you so much. Everybody, thank you guys for coming out. Stay wild. Love you guys.